Okay. Let me see if this worked. Let me see if it worked. Okay, fire. Fire, fire, fire. Let me put on some. Be a little close to me here. Put on some music here. Let's find some copyright free something. Uh, Dang, I wish the Lars and the Real Girls soundtrack was copyright free because I would totally play that. That's what I've been writing to lately. Well, I can still. Will the stream get blocked? Um, will my YouTube stream get blocked if I play copyright music? I'm trying to see if it'll just get demonetized. Okay. The whole thing gets muted. Good to know. So, let's find some copy. I can't see my keyboard, and that shouldn't be important, but it is. Copyright free. You know what? We're not going to listen to any music. Okay. So, the purpose of this stream is, let me try and find a nice little screenshot. Let me mute this. Unfortunately, okay. Okay, I just wanted to have a picture of Ryan Gosling there. Okay. The purpose of this stream is basically just to keep me accountable and help me write. And basically just show you guys the process of how I write my scripts for my video essays. Because I'm trying to stay disciplined and actually keep these going. So, tip number one: to make anything good creatively in your life, have a squeaky chair. No, just have a clean room. That's step number one. It's got to be clean. You have to be able to keep everything in your mind clear, organized. You don't want to have all these extra clouds and just clutter in your brain. So, the first thing that I do that goes into a script, I open up a new Notion page. This is my Notion. I have two tabs open. And what I'll do is I watch the movie all the way through. And then I just take notes as I watch through it. I'm just writing down whatever comes to mind. Eventually, what I will do, I seem to always forget this, but I want to timestamp important quotes on that first watch as well. I didn't do that this time just because it had been a little bit since I actually watched the film, and I just wanted to kind of experience it without worrying so much about. This actually ended up being wrong about the timestamps, but that's going to be very, very, very helpful later on as you go to write your script. You're going to want to be constantly referencing back to important quotes and moments, because when it comes to making video essays, the more time you can save skimming through the actual movie itself that pertains to writing and editing, the more time you can save having to scroll through and find things, the faster and simpler the whole process is going to be. So you want to upfront simplify that as much as possible. So that's step one. Watch the whole movie. Take notes of things that stick out to you, that seem interesting to you, ideas that catch your eye, quotes that catch your eye, and this is going to help you formulate, if you don't already have your thesis or your driving point, your purpose for the video, this is going to help solidify that. Followed by, if there's any bonus features or interviews, that's the next step. With Lars and the Real Girl, I had the Blu-ray, so it had a few other files. It had this kind of comical bit kind of interview pieces that I'm actually not going to really end up using, but I just wanted to watch it anyway to kind of just, you want to be fully immersed in all the knowledge you can have about a particular subject matter, and then a common principle I like to live by whenever I'm creating something or sharing something is to, you want your output to come from a surplus of knowledge, not um, just sufficient enough to talk about. So I want to saturate my mind with everything I can, which is why I normally will even be writing to the soundtrack, but I didn't this time just because that would get the stream blocked. So I'm doing this for y'all. Okay, and then there was another file, so I just went through all of that. Again, this should, in an ideal world, I would have timestamped all of these. Okay, you can see I did here. I guess that was a particular quote that stood out. I think in this case, none of this was especially interesting or applicable. Sorry for those plosives. I should maybe put this pop filter up here. Particularly, what was I saying? Applicable to what I wanted to write about. But in my experience, you still want to timestamp that stuff anyway, because chances are you're going to think about it, and you're going to want to reference it, even if you didn't think you were going to initially. So, just a tip if you want, as you're working on your videos, timestamp everything. Helps immensely. So, but all of this is just to put words on a page, get ideas flowing, get the gears turning, get the rust off, just immerse yourself in the film. And then from that immersion is where all of your good ideas are going to come from. So you don't want to abandon a project for too long, because chances are when you go back to it, you're not going to be able to re-enter into that same headspace that you were in earlier. And you're going to have to end up basically repeating the whole process, whether it's rewatching the movie again, which I've had to do several times with other projects, reading through all your notes, whatever it may be. Your best creative work when you're analyzing a film will come from a place of fullest saturation and immersion into that film. So, and on the heels of this, you can see I kind of already started, I kind of was jump starting the brainstorming process. What did I just do here? Okay. I basically just started writing down some ideas, and maybe started writing down some structure that I think might be a good structure for the video. And so initially it was simply going to be why Lars and the Real Girl is so beautiful. Super simple thesis. This isn't doing a whole lot. And this was kind of before I did some more critical thinking into like, what ideas do I really want to share about this film? And the way I broke down this particular idea was, okay, I'm going to start with an introduction, introducing who is Lars, who is this character. Let's talk about his psychology, the way he is, how he became this way, his relationships with people, kind of how he is when we meet him starting out. And then that would act as a springboard to these other ideas, notably being that it takes a village. A big element of the movie is the whole town's kind of selfless love for Lars, sacrificial love, going out of their way to help him and Bianca. Even though it's uncomfortable, even though it doesn't make sense, even though it seems weird, but it's just because they care for him so much. And that's that scene between Lars and Karen. When he's chopping wood, he's like, you guys don't care for me. But she's like, no, we're doing this all for you. So this is a prominent idea in the film, that it takes a village. And they demonstrate this kind of one-way love, this one-sided love. Anyway, there's a lot more to this. But there's another interesting quote, scene that occurs where Lars is asking his brother Gus, what does it mean to become a man? How did you know that you became a man? And this was an idea that really resonated with me, as a central idea of who Lars's character is and what his journey's on, his character development. He knows that he's not where he should be or where he wants to be one day. And so he's trying to figure out, how do you know when you actually get there? And what difference needs to occur? What changes need to happen in his life to become a man? And so it's all intertwined together. So I started just writing down random ideas. How do you know when you're a man? When you do, okay, yeah. And then this was Gus's response. He says, you know you're a man when you do what needs to be done, even when it hurts. And this immediately just made me think of Lars. In the end of the film, he essentially, almost subconsciously, is making these decisions for Bianca, to take her out of his life, because he no longer needs her as this kind of crutch, for love for him, and he's ready to move on to the real thing. And so it hurts, obviously. This is him at the funeral. This is not a face of something that doesn't hurt, but he's doing what needs to be done. And so what that means is that when she's gone, and after he's made it to the other side of this thing that hurts, and he makes this step with Margot. This is when I would say he becomes a man. Here is when he looks up. He's closed his eyes for 9 seconds, and he looks up, and that's when he asks Margot if she wants to go for a walk. And so this whole movie has been a journey of him building to this moment where at the start he was so afraid of death, afraid of letting people in, which manifested in a complete aversion to physical contact, physical touch, just complete isolation, because inherently in any relationship there's a risk that it might end. And so this all stems from his mother dying in childbirth, having him, and then being raised by a father who was like him in this antisocial kind of way. And so there's a variety of factors that led to Lars being this way. And so the film is us picking up at a pivotal point in his life when he does something out of character. So for the past however many years, decades, he's been living this particular way, and nothing is changing. But we pick up with him when something does change. We have this pretext of like, okay, this is who he is. We establish his character, and then he does something out of the ordinary, which is to order this doll online, this sex doll, which is crazy, and that's why people don't watch the movie, because they think it's weird and stupid. But it provides a perfect avenue to explore his character, because we can see how he behaves out of the ordinary, which helps us really understand his character in the ordinary. And so that's a quote. That's something Ryan Gosling was talking about in an interview. But it provides a perfect conduit for the town to be able to pour into him in a unique way that they hadn't done before. And it gives them an into his life. It allows them for the first time to kind of latch onto something different that wasn't there before, that they can speak into and they can demonstrate love for on behalf of Lars. And because of that, he's able to be to find himself in new environments, social environments, hanging out when he goes bowling, and a variety of other things. And in these new contexts, he's able to see Margot as well in a new light that he didn't quite realize before. And he has a lot of these emotions that he doesn't fully understand, specifically in the screenplay, that becomes clear. I'll pull up the screenplay on one of these tabs, Lars and the Real Girl screenplay, because it's really interesting. It brings up a lot of, I think I used this one last time. Can I close this? Perfect. There's a lot of super nice details that kind of let you into who Lars is, but particularly, I think if anything, it emphasizes how great Ryan Gosling is in this role, because a lot of his character isn't, like, it's fleshed out, it's sufficient here, and it's charming, it's simple, it's sweet, and you get the idea of it, but I think Ryan Gosling brings so much life and personality to an otherwise pretty minimal, he's nuanced and complex, but he's not doing a whole lot. And so Ryan's subtlety brings a lot to the character on the screen, which I think is really great. Lars is extremely frustrated by his inability to respond to Margot. Yeah, anyway. There's a lot of great details that I noticed in the screenplay that I read. I recommend you read it. It reads super fast. It's 100 pages. I read it all in just a sitting, so worthwhile. I love screenplays. Reading screenplays is so fun, personally. I'm looking at my camera is up here. What the heck? Up here. But also I have OBS on the screen, off screen. You can't really see it, but helps me look up at the camera. So anyway, all of that to be said, let's go back here. So, reading the screenplay is not necessary, but it all serves the purpose of immersing yourself in the task at hand, which is to create something of value, of meaning, to tell a story to glean something new from a film through the analysis and complete understanding of the work. Because everybody can watch a film. The film is itself a piece of art that stands alone, but there's a lot of value, I feel, in the personal experience of it, which is something that Alex Garland talks about a lot. Every movie, I guess, and the movies that I like are a 50-50 experience, where the audience, no matter who you are, you're going to find something new, unique, different. It's going to impact you in a different way than it will someone else. And so that provides an opportunity for anyone to share and create something from a piece of art that no one else would be able to before. And we can all learn something new and interesting from the shared dialogue. I'm yapping, bro. I'm actually yapping. Let me check one thing. Real quick, like. So I was checking a text real quick. Who is that? Sorry, I would show you, but I can't. I don't really want to. So. It's not that like I don't trust you. It's just like personal. So okay. So after I watched everything in the Blu-ray, I went to YouTube and tried to find as many interviews as I could find. Again, this is not new, but this was a great panel at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, for those of you who don't know, which was a really fun panel, a lot of joking around, a lot of kidding around. And there's some great sound bites here. All of this is just to help me really understand the actor's experience and what they learned from the characters, because they're the closest source to those characters. And the writer was on the panel, the director was on the panel. So these people know the story better than anyone else. And so who better to learn from when you are trying to write something, and you want to handle the topics as delicately and as accurately as possible. So learn from the best. Learn from the what are those called when it's a person who is just like you're 0 steps removed from the source. You are the source. Learn from the source. Perfect. Okay. I need a new chair, bro. Another thing that may help, you can't see it here. I have a whiteboard on this wall. Whiteboards are great for brainstorming. I could really go for some water. Is anybody watching me, bro? I doubt it. It's a Friday in the middle of the day. Everybody should be working. Cool. All right. So this is the annoying part. Because I've written all of this stuff, and frankly, I don't remember what I've written because this was all yesterday. So now I basically just have to read it again. And that's basically the whole point of the live stream, so that I can read this as if I'm reading it to y'all, reading it for comprehension, and that way I can make sure I'm not retreading old territory, and whatever, y'all don't care. Okay. So this was my first idea, why Lars and the Real Girl is so beautiful. I didn't love this, but I want to see what else I wrote here. Lars does what needs to be done, whether consciously or not, the decisions he makes for Bianca. He no longer needs her. At the forefront is the heartbreak for him. Deep down, the delusion is ending. Right, we talked about that. We can see the seeds planted right when he notices Margot. This is just that idea of becoming a man, no longer needing the delusion. He feels protective of her before he speaks to her. Margot is the prize, but along the way he learns how to experience community. That's just true. Whoever wrote that was speaking facts. Okay, I want to go back through these quotes and see. And highlight anything notable. The idea that you could love something that didn't have to love you back. That love isn't a transaction. It's something you can just give freely to everyone to believe it. Okay. This was a highly notable film, or highly notable quote This is Gosling speaking. Um, and it's something that, in some capacity in this video, I want to address because he is right that love isn't a transaction. You can give love freely out of your own will, even if it's not reciprocal. So he's not saying something false here, but he's saying this in the context of Lars's relationship with Bianca, which seems to cast a very positive light on the relationship. And I'm wondering if it's because he feels in the release of upon the release of the film, they started making a lot of comments about the community of men who do live this way with these dolls, and I think they took a very what's the word? Like an empathetic position to those guys, and were careful not to speak out against that kind of relationship. However, I think that undermines the core message of the film that this kind of love is not complete. Yes, you can love freely of your own will, even if it's not reciprocal. Lars can love Bianca, and Bianca doesn't have to love him back, and that's a one-way outpouring of love. But I think in Lars's case specifically, that love is not only flawed, but it is incomplete. It's flawed because his love for Bianca is meeting a desire for Lars that it's filling a hole that is caused by fear. So as a result of his fear and his unwillingness to address that fear, so this flaw in his life, his mother died. He never dealt with the hurt of her death, and now he's permanently separated himself from society. I think we can all agree that that's not a good thing. This is not the optimal way for a person to live. There is hurt that needs to be addressed in that life. And so we meet Lars here, and his solution to wanting a relationship is to buy a doll that he can love, and that he puts up this delusion, not puts up, but he begins this delusion of a relationship with her. While the trauma and the hurt and the fear still exists beneath the surface, it's never been addressed. Except now he's just loving this new thing that makes him happy. And it cures his loneliness. Which are selfish reasons. And I think it's, in fact, destructive in a way. I think without the town, this is a careful line that I have to walk here. Without the town's involvement in Lars's life, I think it would be destructive for him to continue living with Bianca. And I think Gus speaks to this same idea when he is sad that Lars will go on living this way forever. It takes the town to intervene in order to turn what was flawed and insufficient cover-up of Lars's pain. They can use that to make it into something good. And I think that is why the town is so crucial, and that's why Bianca can be used for good, even though I think in its origin, in her origin in the story, it's not a good thing. So Lars's love for Bianca, it's a flawed demonstration of love that you can just give freely. Because yes, Lars does love her freely, and we can see that he has a great capacity to love other people throughout the whole film, but especially in the start when it matters. And so he creates for himself a target of his affection that will never leave him, that will never abandon him, and that as long as his delusion stays, will always love him. But I guess, and as the town, okay, so that kind of love that Lars has is a flawed. It has moments. It has elements of beauty in it, but it is flawed because of the place he's coming from to love her. But then, as a foil to that, the town also demonstrates this kind of non-transactional one-sided love to Lars, where they're giving it freely of their own will, which I think wonderfully ties back to the church and the sermons that are being preached at the start of the film as kind of a letterhead, a beacon of the ideology that the town follows. That the principal thing is to love, and they really live that out, and that's why an element of why I think this film is so beautiful. And so their love for Lars that they give to him, and Bianca for Lars, that's a one-sided love that's not returned because Lars is still under the belief that people don't care about him, which is a lie. But it's that kind of love that ultimately brings healing and transformation in his life. And so that's a beautiful thing. And so that, I think, is where this quote from Ryan Gosling can be properly applied to this kind of self-sacrificial love that you can give freely and it's not reciprocal. I think that is more useful than the application to his love for Bianca, which in his case, not in every case, but in his case, I think is selfish and shallow and altogether insufficient. But because of that, it's almost a necessary stepping stone. And that's why you need to be careful. It's almost a necessary stepping stone because without it, he would never have been able to recognize or approach the proximity of a real relationship. Because it's because of his relationship with Bianca that the town has given this conduit into his life, and he's able to be emboldened, I guess, in a way, given the confidence to approach Margot, to notice Margot even, when before he would have ran away. And I think it coaxes out a longing within him for something that is full and complete and real, which he doesn't have with Bianca. And you see that in the screenplay. I wonder if I can search. Handsome fella. Right. What I'm looking for here is the scene where they shake hands. Oh gosh, I messed up. I believe it's closer to the end. Show that he wants his. Okay, that's at the doctor's office. So yeah, Lars and Bianca are holding hands. Dagmar. Here is Bianca's hand. Eric. Still with Bianca. We are looking for Margot. That's right. Margot pulls her hand over the air vent. Okay, we're close. Okay. Lars takes a step closer, his hand still extended, as Margot realizes what he wants. She takes off her glove and they shake hands. The touch of her flesh sends an electric current through Lars. Kurt was wrong. Nothing's better than skin. Lars's hand buzzes with sensation. He feels it all over his body. Margot takes her hand away slowly. So this is kind of a strange, electric, physical, like oddly, not sensual, but it's a very tangible, description. But I think it actually is accurate, especially for someone like Lars. But notably, none of these sensation descriptors have an element of pain to them. And so I think his work with Dagmar, kind of exposing him to physical touch and becoming comfortable with it, I think this shows a progress there, but also that he's willing to. This was his idea. He proposed. He extended his hand, and so he's not. I don't think he would have the physical rejection of it when he's the one offering it. You know, and so this kind of opens his eyes up to the fact that yeah, you can't replace a human relationship with an inanimate object. They're just not the same. So, sorry, I'm just noticing my asymmetry. And it's okay. Let's see. So I think all of that is enough speaking on this particular quote. And those are my thoughts on that. So this is just Ryan Gosling saying he likes it. She had a real presence. Sure. This is all very experiential, more craft-based acting talk. The film believes in people. It recognizes people's need to be a part of something special, to have stories to tell, to be connected to something. I think that's true. I think maybe it's a minor part of what I would want to talk about, so I don't think I'm going to highlight it or anything. Bianca causes everybody to look inward at themselves. The impassivity of her makes you think about who you are as a person and your response. I think that's interesting. I think I'm okay to highlight that one because I think in whatever section I talk about, I want to include just the town's involvement, and I think this really does capture an interesting angle on that discussion. Mirror was happening in the film, on set, sure. I don't really want to be talking about on set. I want to stay pretty much in the context of the film with this video. It's Lars's belief in Bianca. She's the catalyst that makes people want to reach out and talk to each other. They do this strange, like, over community thing in the movie, or in the. Sorry, I'm getting kind of sleepy. In the discussions about the film, they make Bianca like this huge thing, and I think they over attribute her significance. Like, she is the whole point of the film, and she is the reason that the community becomes involved. But I don't think Bianca single-handedly causes the rest of the community to engage with each other. I think the extent of it is their willingness to actually, maybe this is true, because you see multiple scenes. Man, I think that is true. Because whether it's Karen or Gus talking to their coworkers about her, or even just Bianca being there, they all hang out with Bianca together. So it gives them occasions and reasons to be together. And so she's uniting them, but she's not doing it. She's not real. So it really is the community building itself. That's interesting. Okay. I don't disagree. I don't disagree at the very least. Okay. A child's love for his toy is very real. He loves it. Yeah. 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 Whatever. We all know it. It's not that interesting. Oh my days. All right. What did we get here? This is the script you're always hoping you'll read. For me, it was a no-brainer. I think this single-handedly negates the idea that this was a big risk for Ryan Gosling's career. I think there was risk involved, I think you look at Lars and he's not your stereotypical male lead, attractive male lead, but I don't think he felt he was taking much of a risk here. Um, I relate to more than any character I've played. I think I did of Lars and everybody. There's the teddy bear idea again. Here's this idea about, yeah, turning down your idea of posturing. What I think makes me cooler, sexier, funnier, charming, which Lars has no awareness of any of those things. He can't act, like, Lars is never trying to act cool. He is just literally who he is, and he literally, he can't be anybody else or try to be a certain way. He will just be who he is. Yeah, getting to know a character through the things they do that are out of character. This is an idea that we were talking about earlier. Yeah, I like this quote a lot. I think this was an interesting idea that I've never considered before. That, yeah, I'd like to include in some capacity. You can learn about you can learn a lot about somebody, by seeing them do something out of character. Oh, they would never do that. Somehow you feel like you know them better than you ever did, which is where we pick up with Lars at the start. Oh, which is exactly what this next quote says. At the start of the film, he does something completely out of character, and makes you feel like you know him better than you ever did. The rest of the film, in smaller ways, they do these things to keep him out of character that ends up making you feel like you know him better. Yeah, this is a great description of what we were just talking about. So, not that we need to, I'm just highlighting these just so I have them for my own reference of things that caught my eye going back. It's a second pass after the initial, like, okay, let me write everything down. The second pass is kind of like, okay, let me see what I actually think is important here. My favorite scene in the film. Anytime I have like if an actor says something is their favorite scene in the film, that is gonna catch my attention. Because why is it their favorite scene? Why would Ryan Gosling's favorite scene in the film be Lars getting popcorn out of a vending machine and watching Margot talk to Eric? I think it's because it lets you in to something emotionally pivotal that's happening in the character. That it's different, like something different is happening there. And let me get this dang cable out of my own way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'll leave it in an underline. And what happens as a result of being kind of saturated in these quotes and thinking about them and going back to them is that as you write, you will naturally, your brain will find a way to circle back to them and weave them in, almost without like having to try. Just the knowledge of them, keeping them in your brain, in your bank, they're gonna come back. So I wouldn't worry too much about trying to insert everything exactly where it needs to go at the start, because it'll find a place. Lars is innocent, naive, he doesn't know how to deal with people, secluded upbringing, no way to release his emotion, true. Basically an only child. Holy cow. This is good context. Yeah, I wish I'd timestamped this. I think um, this is great context to understand who Lars is. I think particularly in these kind of videos, audiences value the credibility that comes from hearing the actor who played the character talk about the emotional heart of that character more than some random guy's interpretation of the character. So, if there's ever a point where I could say, in my own words, that Lars has no way to release his emotion, that he was an only child, that he turned on himself to protect himself, he had a great heart but no way to connect it, I can say all of that. Probably less succinctly, but in my own words, Or I can just quote Ryan Gosling himself saying it, which does a few things. It breaks up the video nicely, visually, um, auditorially. Um, it just adds an element of intrigue, and uh, I think it's just, in my experience, it's more captivating hearing Ryan Gosling talk than myself. Call me crazy on that one. That's my take. So I'm quoting this not that it's vital and new and irreplaceable, but I think it's a good alternative to what I would do. Okay. It is a very optimistic film. It is surprising too. You expect in almost any other film you would expect, like when Gus's coworkers show up to the bowling alley. I looked thought they were gonna beat him up, bully him a little bit, but they don't. They literally just hang out as friends, and so that really demonstrates this optimism that you would not expect. Okay. They didn't want the audience to laugh. Yeah, they did though. Um, yeah, This is great. The town wants an opportunity to help Lars because they've seen him. They've known what's going on probably his whole life. But now with Bianca, they finally have a way to do that, to step in and help him. It's this conduit idea. Um, and then Gosling says if he wasn't in the movie, it'd be his favorite film. I think that's just like a nice quote. I'll underline it because again, it's this personality kind of thing. It's just Gosling speaking candidly about his own experience, which I think are nice bits. They're non-essential, but they create a nice texture to the portrait of a video to include those sound bites. Let me just see if anyone's here. I don't have anything pulled up here, so go away. There we go. I got scared for a second. I saw the 14. Okay. Now we get to just my random word vomit from yesterday, and we'll take notes, just kind of about what we like here, the ideas we want to continue to explore and what we don't. Um, Gosling talks a lot about the beauty of Lars's one-dimensional love. It's a half-baked conclusion that doesn't see the film to its full extent. The film takes us on a journey where we meet a man who's unable to love anymore and can't receive love either. Disagree. I don't think he can receive love. He's blocked himself off from receiving. He is able, I'm gonna say, get rid of the strike through, bro. I will say he is able to love. He does on multiple occasions at the start. He's able to love, but due to the circumstances he's put himself in, he has very limited opportunities to express it. But due to his self-inflicted circumstances, he has very few opportunities that allow him to express it. i.e., no physical touch, no communication. So it only manifests in small gestures of care. You see toy at church, flowers at church, blanket for Karen. I think that's a nicely fleshed out idea. he is able to love. He does on multiple occasions at the start, but due to his self-inflicted circumstances, he has very few opportunities uh, that allow him to express it. He can't touch people, communicate, so it's basically just these small gestures of care, like the toy at church he fixes, the flowers at church he helps with, and the blanket for Karen. And receiving love is a whole other story. Through Bianca, I don't like the once again here. He's able to give love. He gives himself a target acceptable to, he gives himself something that he deems safe enough to bestow his love and affection. Through Bianca, he gives himself something that he deems safe enough to bestow his love and affection. And learn to love something sincerely even if you cannot love him back. And learns because Bianca can't abandon him or die or say anything to hurt him. I think it's less so that idea of words hurting him and mostly just the abandonment thing. She will always be there for him. So it sounds like a beautiful one-sided non-transactional love at Ryan Gosling. But but it's really purely self-serving. The beauty of the film is that by the end he's able to move beyond that and enter a relationship where he can love and be loved, even with the risk of hurt and pain. Love is deepened in relationship because of the fact that it is fleeting. Lars gave his love to something that would never die, the fear of death no longer stopping him from loving because there would be no loss that he could experience. And so in a way, this kind of love is really just, I repeated myself, good. Loving for the sake of having something to love, satisfying your own demands to love on your own terms. So Lars's one-sided love is a flawed demonstration of what sacrificial, selfless love looks like, but mirroring it is the town's love for him. A beautiful picture of love without return, love that is not on their own terms, that takes effort, and that ultimately brings healing and resolution. It's only because of this love that Lars is given the opportunities to open his eyes to something more. He experiences community at the bowling alley for the first time. He begins to notice Margot, though he suppresses the fact that he has emotions for her for a long time. Ultimately, he must make the hard decisions to move from the one-sided love with Bianca to something complete in a relationship with someone who can love him back. He learns to open himself up to the risk of unknown possibilities so that he can experience something that can never be felt with a doll. Lars becomes a man when he learns how to receive love. So that was some of my brainstorm yesterday. Holy, I'm cooked. What am I doing this weekend? One moment. Low key. I need a standing break. Oh my days. Oh. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Enough dilly-dallying. Enough messing around. I've adjusted my chair. Wait. There we go. I should sit on a pillow. That'd be fire. Much more comfortable, I think. How's that feel? Not bad, not bad, not bad. We'll make it work, we'll make it work, we'll make it work. Okay. Okay, I've changed the position of my chair because my legs were low-key falling asleep. And I low-key didn't like it. Sure. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Boy. All right. So here, this paragraph is debunking debunking Gosling's idea of one-sided love, of the beauty of one-sided love. Or, okay, and then this would be the good example of one-sided love in the town. So, Lars is one-sided love, insufficient, bad, selfish. The town's one-sided love, truly self-sacrificial, loving, whatever, sure. Okay, this is talking about career. From the outside, Lars never goes into the reason. This is like, this was me testing out an idea of an intro. Um, so with a hit to public image, we got a project that doesn't love, so you've been saying it was kind of scripted with your whole life. Yeah. This is like Gosling's experience in the role. Low-key don't care. Not to be mean, bro, but that's not that important. Okay. Larson Ruko tells the story of a man learning how to be loved. Is that what I really want to talk about? The difference of loving and receiving love are two of loving and receiving love are two entirely different things. True. We find Lars at the start of the film with someone without someone in his life that he clearly loves. Wrong. Not true. His capacity to love has been stunted, capped off at his lowest limit due to the emotional trauma. It's not that his capacity has been stunted, it's that stunted is just the wrong word. He can't let anyone in as a physical protective reaction, not just a mental discomfort. So this is saying the same thing we said before. Here. Very few opportunities to allow himself to express love. Yeah. Right. And so we ultimately don't even need this. This one. Oh, not underline. I meant strike through. He's not. It does not mean that he's unable to love, right? His love has just become small. Okay, this whole paragraph I think is useless. Okay. We don't need any of this. Wait, what the heck? Sorry, someone sent a picture and he does look exactly like me. Wait, I'm still live. That is crazy. I was no one's here, right? Yeah. No one is here. Um Right, guys? No. One person? Is that real? All right, we're back to it. So, what we were saying before I just got that text was that, so this idea, this was me brainstorming out loud, um, an idea that I don't believe anymore after fully fleshing it out. And I think it can be more clearly summarized in this succinct synopsis of the position we find him at the start of the film. So I'm just gonna cross all of this out. I'm not gonna delete it, but basically we don't need it, is what I'm trying to say. So, ooh, I could actually no, it's fine. Okay. So yeah, so actually he does love, this is me just brainstorming. He just doesn't know how to express that. True. Blanket, doctor's office, pregnant. Oh! What is up? Okay. Lars does not want her to die in childbirth. He has a big heart. Yes. Okay. Crippled with fear is the idea here. That's basically the entire point that I was brainstorming here. So I'm just going to cross all that out too. We don't need it. So far we have a few paragraphs of ideas that I'm going to want to include, but they're non-essential. This is not essential, these things. So we must learn how to love again. Even that, a lot can change in a day. It's not that he has to learn how to love again. He can love. It's that he needs something that he is able to give his love to without the fear of it dying. So the doll does catch his attention. That's true. Because in the doll, he sees an image of someone he can love, a shadow of his desire for a true relationship, who most importantly will never hurt him by leaving. Yeah, that's the whole point of the film. The image of someone he can love, a shadow of his. Okay, yeah. This is where his delusion begins. This is where the fun begins. No. The scene where he first expected dinner, deeply heartbreaking because we know how much it means to his family. Yeah. Through Bianca, we see Lars light up for the first time. That's true. Out of nowhere, his personality changes. Also true. He becomes much more confident, assured of himself, and joyful. He does this out of character through that. Okay. This was just me paraphrasing a quote from earlier up here about, yeah, doing something completely out of character that makes you feel like you know him better than you ever did. Right. The knuckle with it. Bro, someone just told me that I would high five someone who tried to give me a fist bump. There's no need for that diss out of nowhere. So, not really driving an argument here. Okay. This is why it's almost, Quentin Tarantino has a method for writing screenplays where he will basically write the entire thing in one night. And that sounds ridiculous and very hard, but I completely understand it, because if you leave anything for multiple days, I wrote this yesterday, and this was just my brainstorming, but it becomes an unapproachable block of text that I don't want to readdress, but I forget what I talked about. And I can't write a script if I don't know what I'm talking about. So, this was right after I read the screenplay, trying to enter the heart of the story. True. Emphasizing the town's love for Lars. True. A lot of montage examples of that. Right. Elevated it. Yeah. Gosling. Yep. Personality. The script makes it more clear that Lars's love is incomplete. That is something I do want to talk about in my video. Margot says a line to Cindy when Lars is leaving at the party, it's a waste. Yeah, let's find that. That was a good quote that I wanted to include. Yeah, this is a crazy quote. So this is right after leaving a party. Lars took Bianca, the doll, to the party, and Margot is there, and Cindy's there, and so they're watching Lars leave. Exterior, Cindy's doorway later. Cindy and Margot wave from the open doorway as Lars and Bianca drive away. Margot is wistful. I like her, but that's a big waste of a good guy. Yeah. So you and Eric, what do you think? Margot perks up. Long story short, Margot and Eric break up. But it becomes clear there's just a contrast that you see in how Gosling speaks in the panel afterwards, talking about the beauty of this one-way love between Lars and Bianca. It's way overemphasizing that love and diminishing the love between Lars and Margot that forms at the end of the film. Praise the Lord. I just got a response. Besides the point. So they're directly calling it out in the script. Hey, it is a waste of a good guy for Lars to be with Bianca. He should be with a real girl. It's not this like idealistic, optimistic, beautiful thing. They're like kind of directly encouraging it. So, or discouraging it, sorry. So I want to make note of that here. Here. What page is this? Page 51. Page 51. I like her, but that's a big waste of a good guy. And there's something else. There's another quote somewhere that I didn't note. That's okay. Okay. Margot says line of Cindy. Well, yeah, waste of man, because Bianca. Right. Okay. So we're going to straight up delete that, because that's what the quote does for us. Everyone knows that to carry on this way, loving Bianca is a fragment of the fullness of love in a relationship. True. We also get more insights into Lars's mind and how he desires to be loved, but just can't quite figure it out. Yep. In his sessions with Dagmar, we learn that he really does desire physical touch. He shakes Margot's hand. Yeah, that's true. When was that? I forget. Okay, whatever. Whatever the case, it just provided good context. Not that this is essential to go into the script, but it provided good context that Lars does genuinely desire a relationship, and it emphasizes the halfway nature of his relationship with Bianca, because it's pointing to something real. Is that a spiritual allegory? Maybe I'm thinking just about the idea that the law existed to show us where we are deficient, to ultimately point to Christ, who is the fullness and complete. He is the completion of, like, humanity. And, like, he provides completion and forgiveness of our sins when the law was insufficient to, rather it pointed out our flaws. And so in a way, crazy parallel to make, but in a way, Bianca is like the law in the Old Covenant, and then Margot is the New Covenant in Christ. That is ridiculous. I'm not including that in the video, but that's just what my mind thinks about. Okay. The veil was torn. Anything get torn in the movie? I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay. He really does desire physical touch, and when he shakes Margot's hand outside the bowling alley, he feels an electricity that could never be felt with something fake. True. Okay, now we get back to the town, which will be an essential part of the video, because without the town, like I was saying earlier, Lars wouldn't be able to progress anywhere, and this would be purely a self-serving kind of love, but thankfully because of them, it becomes transformed into something very good, which is awesome, and he grows through the discomfort, and that's why he becomes a man, because you can't become a man unless you're making decisions that are challenging and painful and difficult to enact change. Bada bing, bada boom. Let me just heart this message. Bang! Okay. So, comfortable with feeling again. It takes a town that's so accepting and loving for this type of work yet. In the funeral scene, there's both an appreciation, funeral scene. Oop. Boom. Appreciation for Bianca, but there's also a decisive moment for Lars when he decides to move on and move forward with the real girl. I can show you that scene. It's this scene right here. I did mute it because I'm scared to get copyrighted. But here they're talking. She says there's never going to be anyone like her. He smiles at that. He liked it. But he doesn't necessarily agree. He doesn't say anything. He acknowledges it. Are his eyes closed? Not yet. And head up. She says, I think it's probably time for us to go back. Eyes are closed. 9 seconds. This is like a full reboot. He powers off. Open. And then turns to her. Do you want to take a walk? Confident, decisive. She says yes. He turns away. Music is cueing in. You can't hear any of it, nor can I. Smile. Credits. Why was I showing all that? It's beautiful. I don't know. I love it. It's so good. Okay, never mind. That's fine. Alright. So without the town's involvement, well, I've lost my train of thought completely. The funeral scene, yeah, stories about Bianca, but in that moment we realized that all the while he had been story about Lars working through his fears, learning to be loved, learning how not to be selfish, learning what it means to feel, learning to understand his emotions. He can finally enter into a relationship with two-way love. Gotta be a better term for that. Not just a one-sided love, though it can be a beautiful, self-sacrificial thing. As demonstrated by the town, it can also be self-serving and not a reason not to change. Okay. So this paragraph is basically a mix. It's mostly town-centric. A little bit of Lars in here. It's the town. What is this? It's a whole lot of things. It's basically everything. Sure. This is kind of summarizing the whole film. The church. Yeah, I'm probably not going to talk about the church. I'm going to talk about the sermons, but I'm going to mention them as basically like a 1 or 2 sentence, like lamp post of what instructs or like what informs the town's decisions. Where are they pointing towards? Where are they looking to? Not necessarily to dissect a sermon or say that this is, I don't know. I just don't really feel like talking about that. Dang, I'm losing bandwidth here. I wish I could see. How do I pop out a chat? Hello. I thought there was a way. Tools? Nope. Is it this? Oh, yeah. Wait. Watching someone work at workception. Guitar. Okay, this is funny. I didn't know you could hear my guitar. How long have you been? Wait, sign into chat. Will I be a chatter or will I be? Hold up. Hold on a minute. I think this will be worthwhile. Hopefully you didn't see that. Ugh, 2-step verification is probably the worst thing that was ever invented in the world. I don't even care about the privacy that much. I mean, yes, I do. Of course, I do, but okay. Continue. Okay, okay. Let me see the chat. All right. I think that did something good. I don't know if he's still here. If he is, that's cool. If he's not, totally fine. That is so funny, though. Okay. Our goal is to okay. Okay. Our goal is to assimilate information previously written and then to inform my thesis and essay structure and select vital elements from and non-vital. Then, this is our goal. I know y'all can't read any of that. That's fine. Then, create, that was a G. Create outline, then fill outline. Okay, that's our goal. We've established our purpose for today. Was that straight up just balancing? That does not look right. What about that? It's pretty good. Pretty close to what it was. Okay. That is so funny. Okay. All right. Enough dilly-dallying. These blocks of text are terrible. I might have to abandon the word vomit method because it makes it pretty, like, unapproachable later because, like, I don't know where to go. Okay. So Lars wrestles with his emotions. Was this an interesting idea? To be honest. We see him thinking and not coming to a conclusion. Oh, yeah, okay. True. That's true. It's a true, that is a true observation. It's a story about love that reaches far beyond the limits of one relationship. Also true. You have brotherhood. Yep. It's a very family love kind of thing. Um, okay, true. So here I'm just addressing my previous flaws. We don't need that. He loves Garrett, Gus, and Karen. True. Cares for them. He gives her his mother's blanket. He loves them. He doesn't know how to show it well. Karen's problem with her. People held by her. Doesn't have a way of expressing her. True. He helps the boy with his toy. Yep, right. I'm not here to say that Lars learned to love others and keep loving. Yeah, okay. Um, big heart, fully capable of loving others, but he certainly keeps a distance. Distance is a big theme. Talks about. Oh yeah, in the screenplay, that's a great. Man, who wrote that? Um, Far away. Yeah. He watches her run back to the house. He wants to make sure she arrives safely. The house to Lars seems very far away. There's multiple moments like this in the screenplay where Lars just seems super far off. Um, when he's really not, which is a really nice touch that I think does come through in the movie. Um, in shots like these. Yeah. We're looking through the glass all the way to the house. We watch her run across. It could have just shown her. Is my face that crooked, bro? To be honest. They wave across like it's like they're neighbors. It's like they're not even in the same property. Yeah. I think this kind of just framing him in this physical frame, he's isolated, he's condensed, or he's just separated. He's in the darkness. He's, and then they're like freezing, going back into bed. That literally makes him seem like the dog they keep in the garage. So, this idea of distance, I think, is a big thing, and I think it actually is a good framing, a way to frame the essay. Um, Chasm of separation. Um, yeah, he's distanced himself from the world to protect himself from the hurt associated with love. That's the synopsis. Inherent with love is the risk of loss and death. Loving is a risk. He needs to learn how to overcome the fear of taking that. Okay, so a lot of what we've said throughout these paragraphs that I was just brainstorming with yesterday are pointing to this same idea, which is the point of the film. So I'm writing to the point of the film. Not really what you want to be doing. We want to bring some new ideas to the table. So I don't want, if I was to advise myself, I would advise not to make my thesis that in order to overcome his fear, or I would not want my thesis to be that for Lars to learn to love, he has to overcome his fear of overcome the distance, because that's the point of the film, and that's going to lead to a lot of summary and a lot of words that we've heard before, and that would just be better to watch the movie in the first place. So here I talk about the relationship being 50 50. So we want to have a purpose a unique take, because if we go to YouTube, we're going to find Lars, wait, I literally can't see what I'm typing. Lars and the real video essay. Oh, freak. Freak. Oh, dang, bro. Frick. So interestingly, we have a video that came out 17 hours ago. This, with better packaging, actually could be a great video. I wonder what this guy's channel is. I bet I could help him. 43 subs. Okay, okay, bro. Oof. I bet this guy has great videos. I just bet his thumbnails need some work. His titles need some work. You don't want to start your first line being the entire title of the movie. I bet he's got some good things to say. This whole branding clashes. We've got 3 different fonts in the profile picture, the banner. Great channel name, and the fact that he got the @ as well. This is phenomenal. He's in a great place here. Talking about great films. Love all this. Super interesting trajectory. Inside Out, Project Hail Mary, Obsession, Good Will Hunting, Backrooms, and then Lars and the Real Girl. Interesting. Interesting. He's cranking them out though. Video a week or more. Any shorts? A few shorts. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Is this Lars and the Real Girl right here? This looks like the color grade.
No.
It is, yeah. Cool. He's killing it. He's using his videos, converting them to shorts. I hope he does well. Yeah, keep up the good work, bro. Truly, I mean that. Anyway, sorry, really sidetracked. But all that to say, hello. I made this video. That's awesome. I think we're still in a good spot. He updated this thumbnail too. Was this a Ryan Gosling video or was this a Lars and the Real Girl video? Yeah, it's just a Ryan Gosling, or yeah, Ryan Gosling video. Okay, so an unfortunate a part of a YouTube video is that you have to be familiar with what is out there, and you want to be able to bring a new take to the table. It's a double-edged sword because you don't want to be influenced and acquire the ideas of other creators in their videos, but at the same time, you don't want to just be making things that have already been made. So, 1, 2, 3, kind of 4. This is probably not a video essay. 5, but it's a psychiatrist. That's a really cool angle as well. So, but this is a video essay as well. So, and this is a review. So, video essays, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 on YouTube, basically. That would be in a similar genre to what I'm talking about. And so just looking at the descriptions, let's dive into what makes Lars and the Real Girl such a heartwarming film and what makes Gosling's performance so great. So he's going to be taking a much more Gosling-centric angle, which we don't want to do, so I think that's fine. These two are going to be our main competitors here. This guy's 200 subs, facelift, or he has a face. What are these chapters? Loneliness and love, real relationships. I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm curious. Um, yeah, we could watch this. Let's watch this because then.
My channel is focused mainly on video games so far, but movies and films can offer a lot too. I've always known I had to make a video about Lars and the Real Girl. It's one of my favorites. The
I'm pretty sure this is an AI voiceover.
main character, Lars, is one of the few movie protagonists I've seen with mental health struggles who's portrayed with respect and compassion. This movie confronts stigma.
I apologize if it's not. Dude, I can't get a jump scare really bad. Yeah. Okay, so to tune you back into what we're doing, essentially we're assessing the landscape of the current Lars and the Real Girl video essays to ensure that we're not trotting on well-trodden territory. So basically there were two other video essays that are similar to the topics that I'm writing about. So I'm skimming through these to see if the take I'm bringing will be new, or because if I'm talking about the same exact stuff, then it's not worth talking about. It's better to just watch the original. So this is the first one posted on my birthday.
Therapy and delivers an overwhelmingly kind message
I
about
apologize to Screen Therapy if this is not AI, but it does sound AI.
the power of friendship, the importance of compassion, and the incredible adventure of learning how to love oneself.
I already think just by my delivery and editing style and music choice, I can create something that evokes a different emotion at the very least than this video. Um,
Although some audience members might sit down for this movie ready to heckle Lars, casting him and people with similar struggles in far-off outgroups to travel around the world, starting with his sleepy little Wisconsin town. This compassionate portrait of
it's
mental
quaint. It's quaint.
illness
It's nice.
and loneliness. It also invites us to consider our own. We might think about our experiences, to love himself, to forgive himself for his eccentricities, and even put in the hard work of battling his social
Yeah,
anxiety.
that's what I thought too.
Before Bianca, he felt safe alone and comfortable with the pain of loneliness. He didn't try to reach out to others, and any help offered to him seemed like it was a
True.
burden, a
True.
false hope that he
True.
could deserve affection when he was sure he didn't. But
I I don't think that's necessarily the point of the film that he doesn't feel like he deserves affection. I don't think he's at that point yet.
after meeting Bianca, he lets himself consider that he might be worth the time and love of others. All of
That he might be worth the time and love of others. I don't know. At the very least, not that we disagree, but I think we have a different take. I think we have a different angle,
this is a
which
complex
gives me
Bianca
confidence.
needing to be real. Through Lars, we can better see how many of our emotional walls in love and self-love are
Yeah, and this is a very application-based kind of structure to reflect on your own life, because this is more of a psychology framework.
themselves in him. Be allowed to want affection. There is so much subtlety in the writing for this film. Rewatching it, I've noticed that Lars is never far from the baby blanket made by his mother.
True, I was going to talk about
It
that.
might serve as a symbol to him that someone once loved him. He
Yeah.
uses it as a scarf or a blanket and to protect
Well,
those he
I mean, yeah, his mom died in pregnancy. She died, when she delivered him, and so I think it's more so just representing, like, true. I think his mom obviously would have loved him as she was pregnant with him, but she never knew him either. Um, so I think it's mostly a symbol of, what is a symbol of? Should be one thing about that. Yeah, I think she's right actually. I think it's just that his mother would have loved him, I guess, and it just she's a very your mother you're that she's like someone who comforts you, someone who's there for you, provides for you in many ways, and so his dad wasn't that. So I think it's natural that he would turn more so to look for comfort from his mother, who was never there, and so the blanket is the only tangible thing he has to hold on to this sense of comfort from his mom. I don't know what she's talking about. Full Lars here.
Which will triumph over his emotional walls, but avoids it like the plague, worse, being seen as alone. For all the attention and idolization we give romantic love in our stories,
Okay, I think we get the idea for this one. I am okay to proceed with my video in spite of this video existing. I think we bring enough value and unique thought to the table for our video to be worthwhile. Let's look at this one.
I've been introverted for a long time. Some might say all my life. So it's no surprise that I love today's movie. It's a comfort movie of mine.
Okay. Immediately, our videos would not be a substitute. Our videos would be very different.
It's anxiety-riddled Ryan Gosling is introverted. He's socially isolated. Basically, he's the embodiment of a possible. Make that beautiful choice to give Lars the Paul Schneider, which is great.
Okay, so he's basically summarizing. This is more of a review. The premise, the players, the palette. So he's talking about the color of the film. Interesting. The postcard. The okay, alliteration. Oh my word.
Scared that history might repeat itself, or that though some are more willing than others. There's some grumbling when they first learn about situations with Bianca. Complex.
I think I'm okay with this as well. The one that I'm most scared about is this one, but it seemed like it's a more Ryan Gosling lens. Should be okay.
A receding hairline, nerdy appearance, and a super
Wait, is it?
receding.
Bro, it's not even. His hairline is not receding.
A receding hairline, nerdy appearance.
That's just a bad haircut. That's not a receding hairline. Because if he has a receding hairline, you'll see that. Whatever.
And a super
Help me, please.
personality. This is quite the opposite of what we're used to seeing.
I like this. Renzi's good. Renzi makes good videos. I've seen some of his videos before. Like I saw this one. He's got that thumbnail style dialed in. Wait, I thought this video just came out a year ago. Okay.
In the early
Perfect.
2000s, this was the man to be. Just
True.
3 years prior, The Notebook had blasted him into superstardom.
It's true.
Forever, you and me.
Lars is a reserved, antisocial, and essentially an all-around nerd. With his mother passing away during childbirth, he was raised under intense resentment from his father. His brother, who he now lives with, left the family as soon as he could.
Mhm.
Left you alone with him. He was
So-
sad.
He's starting off just talking about who Lars is and why he is the way he is.
Leaving Lars to fend for himself, to develop a fear of human connection and physical touch after years of neglect.
There's a small point. I love this outfit for some
Develop
reason.
a fear of human connection and
I
physical
think this is fire, bro.
touch
Bro, this is tough. That's like a thumbnail actually. That's fire.
after years
Um,
of neglect.
yeah, true. That's a true point. Yes.
You going to Cindy's
I don't know about this music choice. It's good. It's a good video.
Oh no.
To put it simply, Lars doesn't believe he's deserving of love.
So you don't let people touch you.
There's that point again that came up in the other video as well. He doesn't believe he's deserving of love. Is that true? I don't think that's true still. It's different. It's not that he doesn't think he's deserving of it. It's that maybe it is true because he has that conversation with Karen. Out to the fire pit. Let's find it. Oh yeah, I'm goated.
How would she feel if I just left her? Because Ben, her.
Oh, wait, she didn't abandon you. She'll be back.
I know that. People do whatever they want.
So we all care.
People do whatever they want. They don't care.
So we all care.
So he's saying people do whatever they want, they don't care. In the context of abandonment, let's get serious. Enough messing around.
Lars, we do care. That is.
Okay, so he's a pick me. He's saying nobody cares about me. Is saying that nobody cares about you saying the same thing as nobody, or as saying I'm not deserving of it, of care, of love? I think they are intertwined, because I think the fear of abandonment comes from a self-worth issue where if someone leaves, they feel like you weren't good enough.
That is just not true. God, every person in this town bends over backwards to make Bianca feel at home. Why do you think she has so many love you to do? Huh? Huh? Because of you. Because all these people love you. We push her wheelchair. We drive her to work. And she is not petite, Lars. Bianca is a big, big girl.
That was a funny line in the script.
None of this is easy for any of us, but we do it. Oh, we do it for you.
Just crying here.
So don't you dare tell me how we don't care.
So I guess it is. I couldn't see. It'd be very difficult for me to make the claim that Lars doesn't think he's undeserving of love. Wait, it'd be difficult to make a claim that Lars is. What? Let's just watch the video. Hang on.
He's afraid of burdening the people he loves, and as a result, habitually pushes away anyone attempting to express care or concern.
Pushes away. Yeah.
Karen's been worried about you. She thinks you've got a problem because you spend so much time by yourself.
I'm fine.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't care for them. His mother's blanket
He flips a lot of the footage.
is the last thing he has that connects him to his mother.
Gus,
It's kind of smart.
your mother made it for you. Well, she must have loved you very much.
He treats it as his prized possession and often uses it to protect those he loves.
Baby to get sick.
It's the only thing connecting him to the one person he felt truly.
Dang, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It's the only thing possession and often uses it to protect those he loves. It's the only thing connect
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get.
major problem. He's soon to be an uncle.
Don't you want to be an uncle?
Past head on, soon to become a role model for a new member of the family. While this would be an exciting time for most, it's a reminder that Lars isn't emotionally ready to take on this new role.
You're a good-looking fellow, Lars. Where's your girlfriend?
I don't have one.
Foundation. He can't just throw himself in a world he feels won't accept him. So he finds this opportunity within a blow-up doll named Bianca.
She's not a blow-up doll. Invalid video. I'm just kidding. But she's not a blow-up doll, bro. It's in the title, bro. She's not a blow-up doll.
Should we get into that? Because it's in everything I read, it's like blow up doll. She's very heavy.
She's very heavy. Hear that? Anyway, continue. Oh gosh, I almost clicked the wrong thing.
You know, Bianca's a missionary? Well, was a missionary, right? Sorry.
Someone he knows won't abandon him, won't neglect him like he's so
It hurts a little bit every time I hear the things I was going to talk about.
accustomed to, and can't deny him the love he so desperately craves.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, you look really pretty today.
Even better is that he can essentially tailor every conversation to fit his needs.
True.
Bianca could help you. You know, she has nurses training.
No, she doesn't.
Bianca just said that that's why God made her, to help people.
Imaginary friends are a coping mechanism, how they agree and comfort you and be your voice of reason. It's more reassuring to hear things from another's perspective
It's a great
than
point.
your own.
That is a great point.
If you weren't confident or didn't fully trust yourself, you'd look for that affirmation elsewhere. While Lars is an adult, he's still incredibly emotionally stunted.
He's a sweetheart. He never even raises his voice.
Within the community. When he arrives to the party at the latter half of the film, he's able to effectively mingle with a group of women, knowing that he doesn't need to impress or win them over.
True.
Lars would never let her touch
Great point.
I don't care. I don't know if she likes it. That's how I like it.
He's content with what he already has. Bianca allows him to finally fit in.
Almost.
Despite his flaws.
I think this is a great video. I have a few things I would say, a few nuances I would disagree on. Not disagree, because he's basically just saying what is the case. But just slight differences. If his conclusion is different, if we like reach a final thesis that's different, I think there's still room for both of our videos to exist, even though a lot of these points are what you would expect for someone to talk about when they're discussing this film in an essay.
And despite the past trauma.
That was nice. I didn't think of that.
Of course, the community doesn't initially understand.
She have a sister? We don't want anything to do with her.
He's not worshiping her. They're just dating.
These young people have no willpower.
Also, I think I could provide a value in also bringing in interview clips and just additional information from the screenplay. I think that provides value.
It's hard to grasp something you've never experienced at the scale Lars has. I'd assume they all have one or more loving and fulfilling relationship, and the majority can maintain a conversation without too big of a fear of judgment. However, it's shown that even seemingly normal people are susceptible to their own delusions.
True.
Sally, your cousin puts dresses on his cats. Hazel, your nephew gave all his money to a UFO club. Narnie, everybody knows your first wife was a
She wasn't.
Why is she buried in my earrings?
And so, the community would grow empathetic. This is one of the most important aspects of the film,
Yeah.
which is the need for community.
For a person who's afraid of being himself,
Interview.
which we
Nice.
all kind of are in some way, what happens if you walk into a world of total acceptance?
See, everyone wants a support system, and while some would argue that it's cruel to humor these delusions, it pushes him to leave the comfort of his own home and become more involved with those around him.
What you want in a woman. They stay with you because they don't know they can get somebody better.
But with more connection to the outside world comes less of a need for Bianca. One of my favorite moments is when Lars discusses Bianca's, especially in such a small town, usually predictions and the rejection of marriage.
I know that she loves me, but I ask her to marry me and she says no.
Leading to more arguments and a ton of self-doubt.
They never fight.
My girlfriend and I shouldn't have to check a schedule to see her.
Did I miss something? Really?
Yes.
Given his fear of abandonment, he eventually finds a way out, one that doesn't involve her leaving abruptly. So, Bianca gets sick, hospitalized, and soon after, passes away.
And Bianca loved us all.
One that could potentially hurt him. However, once these emotional walls fell, he found that he didn't actually need her, and almost immediately after her passing, finds he left the comfort field didn't.
Okay. So it's a great video. I'll leave a like. If that's a receding hairline, I need to reevaluate my own situation. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's the same man, and he would drink tubs of cigarette to play the dead in my lovely bones because that's what he had the character look like. And get far first. Yeah, true. For long periods, he felt alone, now slow going out into the world. One line that's sort of taken as a throwaway was when Bianca was given fake flowers in front of the church. He says, "To Bianca, they're fake, so they won't die." Yeah, exactly. They're fake, so they won't die. I thought I made a note of that line too. He's terrified of the impermanence of the people around him because they can do anything they want, and what they want is never going to be him in his mind. Police warned him his mother was taken by death. True. True. So this is a... Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah. I have a lot to think about here. I'm considering ending the stream and making lunch, which I think I will do after this. Yeah, Lars doesn't want to be like he doesn't want to be like his father. He's lonely, but he's not like his dad. He resents his dad. So grew up in a single father life. No one who would long for a mother never had, including to the magician. Yeah, okay, you're alright. So the idea I had, so pretty much everything we've done so far, we did a little bit, we tested the waters, we saw what was out there, which I hadn't done yet, which is helpful because it informs my structure, which was initially going to be much more similar to the video we just watched. But given the existence of that and that it's a really great, well-made video, I don't want to recreate that in my own way. Not that it would be a recreation, it would be my own video essay, but it would be driving towards the same point, which is essentially emphasizing the beauty of the film, broadly speaking, through the psychology and experience of Lars's character and the progression throughout the film, sprinkled with a little bit of who Ryan Gosling is and where the film occurs in his career. Where I think I have some different ideas that I could bring to the table. I think the primary different idea that I can bring is this concept of differentiating between the optimistic light of a one-sided relationship and how it's driving towards a two-way relationship. This kind of like one-sided love versus two-sided love, and then I think this is the right way to structure it. I think, wait, is that? No. The initial structure was emotional distance. The way the film collapses emotional distance. Why is there emotional distance in the first place? Distance in physical space. That's interesting. Distance from Margot. Distance from the town. Kinda. Learning to confront death. Distance from death is a main one. And that specifically pertains to his mother. So all these are things that Lars runs from. Yo! Yo. I think that's an interesting structure to frame it all as things that Lars runs from. It's kind of fun. And so then the point of the video would be to demonstrate how the film collapses the distance from each of these three things. So how the film collapses physical space, which means you begin by establishing that he does feel distant from home. How do they bring him closer? He couldn't be further from Margot, who's the real girl. And he runs to Bianca instead. And so how does the film collapse that distance to bring him to Margot? Which does essentially incorporate the role of the town in their kind of self-sacrificial love for him and his exposure to community, which is cool and different. And then ultimately the big one is his distance from death, and how literally in the last scene of the film we arrive at him. He's standing over a grave right now. The scene ends with him at a funeral. Do we get a nice little establishing shot somewhere? Yeah. Oh, go back. At a funeral. It's in the screenplay, I believe at the bottom. It's the same graveyard where his mom and dad were buried, which is kind of weird for him to bury a doll near his mom and dad. Wouldn't really recommend it. cemetery is empty except for Lars, Margot, and Dagmar, who stand quiet. Margot and Lars are unaware of Dagmar. Yeah, Lars looks at the headstones, his mother, his father, and Bianca, beloved friend. So, but he's not... Interesting. Bianca, he takes Bianca to the graveyard at some point. I don't know when, but it happened. Okay, whatever. So through her, he's able to get closer to facing his mother's death. I think that's a big point. That's a big point. It's through his relationship with and then the exiting of Bianca in his life that he's able to come to terms with the death of his mother. That's like the emotional crux of the whole film. So I like this structure. There's a lot here. I don't know if this is the most articulate way. The alternative idea is the love approach. So this is directly debunking Gosling's idea of the beauty of one-sided love, establishing the nuance of Lars's flawed, selfish one-sided love, foiling it to the purity of the town's one-sided love for him, which is negating his belief that no one cares for him. And then positing the demonstrating how the incomplete nature of his relationship with Bianca points to the fullness and of relationship with a person instead of a thing. Those are our two ideas. On the one hand, we can talk about how the film collapses distance physically, emotionally, psychologically, or we talk about this idea of love that Ryan Gosling had, which is kind of an interesting framing, and show how the film maybe doesn't actually agree with him. And I think that provides a nice segue into this discussion about love and relationships. And I don't know which one. So, I am going to have lunch, simmer, think about this, and come back later and get to work on figure out which one I decided on, I guess. Okay, that's all from me for now.